I wanted to talk about what I've learned from working with married people. Okay, so everyone I work with has been married like 10 plus years. They've got like solid family dynamics and stuff. And it's the first time I've ever worked in a place that's like this, right? And they're very they're all super happy, which is dope. They've all got their little family dynamics. I love that for them. And I've been learning from these people too. So the way they communicate is different, right? And I feel like an alien. I always feel like an alien, but I especially feel like an alien around them. I'm so used to communicating with other people who are single or very in a different culture, right? It's like a culture shock. These people, they have no problem setting boundaries, right? Which I think is cool. If they're not cool with certain things, they'll bring it up. Also, I've noticed that they have powerful emotion regulation. Some of them, it's not to say that they're always in a perfect mood or whatever. However, how they handle it when they're not in a great mood is kind of dope. If they know they're not in a place to communicate, or if they have they need to bring something up to somebody and they see that somebody else is not in a good headspace for that conversation, they'll hold off. They'll be like, you know what, I will revisit this. I will come back and we'll talk about it, when they're in a better mood or whatever. I noticed that my boss, he always asks, how are you feeling? Okay, rather than how are you doing. Sometimes it's how are you doing, but a lot of the times it's how are you feeling. And to me, that's kind of dope. It's it's asking a more deeper message or question, And at first I was like, bro, why are you asking such a personal question? How am I feeling? What do you care? And it's because I'm not used to that, right? I'm not used to anybody giving a fuck about my feelings a lot of the times. And then he actively listens to my response, right? Active listening is also a big one. People aren't rushing to cut each other off. Their conversation is this it's back and forth. It's like a tennis match almost, where they listen, they observe. Sometimes they take a second to respond because they're not thinking about the response the entire time the other person is talking. Instead, they're listening and then they formulate their response after. And I really respect that shit. It's weird too, learning about good communication in my 30s. I feel like I should know this stuff, right? And I always knew oh yeah, relationship stuff, but it's more than that. Because though these communication styles are great for relationships, it's great for business. It's great for working with people. It's great for friendships. It's great for other family members and all that, because it's a more holistic way of communicating, and it's understanding I care, when somebody asks me how I'm feeling and then they actively listen to my response, what I'm understanding of that is that my feelings matter to this person, right? That they see my feelings as important or as valid, and that they're willing to hear me out, if I'm you know what, I'm just not feeling it today. And because honesty also matters, right? And sometimes it's okay to be I'm grateful for another day. Today, feeling hella blessed. Also, I'm not feeling 100, and that's okay. I feel like we need to Normalize that. Like, it's not necessarily complaining all the time, but being honest, right? If somebody asks us a question, let's respond honestly. And not in the sense of like, oh, I need you to solve all my problems for me, because obviously not. However, like, it's, to me, if you're walking around telling everyone, I'm fine, and then later you're like, nobody cares how I feel. Well, it's because you just told everyone you're fine, right? Nobody is out here, diving deeper than that, because clearly you didn't want to talk about it, until you got home on Facebook, and then you wanted people to care. Well, guess what? People in the real life also need an honest response, Also, like, people who are married, there's kind of like a weird side to this. I feel like they get a lot less comfortable with silence, which I would say is probably a con, right? Because, like, for me, I love silence. I could sit in silence all day. To my coworkers, if they see me walking around being silent, not trying to have a conversation every 5 seconds, they're like, something's wrong, and it's like, nothing's wrong, I'm dissociating, bro. Like, this is my favorite pastime. Why would something be wrong, because I feel like that's something that me as a single person, like, I'm used to sitting in silence. I'm used to entertaining myself. So to me, the weird thing is the constantly conversing, right? That's the bit that's weird for me. Or even customers, man. I'll be working on their car, and they'll be sitting here trying to small talk me, and I'm like, so you want to talk about your latest existential crisis or something? Because if I talk about the weather one more time, like, I'm gonna die. Like, we all know seasons happen, weather happens. Why do we have to talk about this every day? I don't care if it's raining, But I mean, that's also me. I'm terrible at small talk. I don't like it. It feels like very superficial. It feels like just filling the air, It doesn't feel like a meaningful conversation. And to me, I'd prefer that my conversations are meaningful, because it's like breaths that I'm taking to make this conversation happen, Like, am I wasting my breath on this? Would my breath be better spent not talking about this? I don't know. Maybe that makes me a jerk. I'm not a small talk guy. I'd much rather sit in the silence and enjoy it. I'm like, but when you work with people who are married, they're so used to somebody always being there, right? To talk to entertain them, to whatever, to converse. And so they're not used to silence filling the air. And I've noticed that silence makes married people very uncomfortable, because they're not used to that. And at least the ones I've worked with, but they're also not like super spiritual people either, so they're not going out of their way to find silence or to meditate. And I find that to be pretty interesting too. Like, the people I work with are, they're not super spiritual. They're all married. They've all navigated communication like pros, right? Like, they're great at it. That's why I love the driving aspect of my job, because then I can talk to you guys about things that I care about talking about. I don't have to be trying to force myself to have a conversation about different types of toothpaste and shit. I don't care. And then so many times I just, I'll be mid-conversation, and I'm like, I could just shut up right now, and this could be over. But I'm also trying to learn from them that, like, though, you know, I do enjoy silence, I have to come to grips with the reality that I live in a world with other people, and they like talking, and I'm gonna have to navigate that, you know. I'm gonna have to be able to talk to people while being sober, right? Like, I mean, honestly, that's one thing I do miss about alcohol, I must admit, is it is such a good social lubricant, right? Like, I could talk to people for fucking days on alcohol. I can fill all the silences and it will always be interesting, at least to me. Being sober, trying to talk to people, I'm like, fuck, like, so you like football? What's your favorite team? Oh, cool. Who are they again? Did they slam dunk it? Like, you know, I don't know. I don't know things. I mean, I know things, but not about those things. Like my boss the other day, he came in wearing a Miami Dolphins sweater, and he's like, they're a pretty good team, right? And I was like, I don't know. I'm like, but the color is pretty dope. Like, it's a good color, dog. You know, and he's just like, he's like, you don't know if it's a good team? And I'm like, look, neither of us watch football. You're a poser right now. But yeah, I don't know. I have noticed that, like, and I think it's good for people who are single to learn about the other side. You know, even if you're one of those that's like, I'm gonna die alone, da 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 da, that's fine. Also, learning communication skills from people who have been in long-term marriages gives you like kind of an edge in business, in other relationships. You know, these people know emotion regulation, right? They know how to do it. They know that, like, okay, somebody might be upset with them, it's not the end of the world. Okay, they may have made a mistake, guess what, it's not the end of the world. They are going to recover from it. It's going to be fine. You know, and I think that's honestly the best part of emotion regulation is that, like, no matter how whack things are going, there's, you know, always that reassurance that, hey, it's just going to be okay. Everything's going to be just fine. Like, why are we sweating shit? Why are we overthinking it? Why are we complicating things that don't need to be complicated? You know? There's no reason to sit there and freak out over most things, right? Or anything, really. I see it this way, too. Like, if it's not gonna matter next year, then why should it matter so much right now, you know? And I know that can be frustrating for a lot of people in my life, because they're sitting there and they're like, it's the end of the world, da 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 da, and I'm like, it's actually not. And you're gonna be okay. Like, you're gonna navigate this issue. Like, things are gonna be dope, you know. And to them, it's like earth shattering. Like, it matters so much. And for me, I'm like, bro, like, once you've lost everything several times in a single year, you realize, like, you can really come back from anything, you know, and then you stop freaking out. You stop being so damn worried about fucking everything. And it's nice. Hella nice. It's freedom, actually. That's a real freedom, to not allow yourself to be imprisoned by momentary, like, inconveniences. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, being able to set strong boundaries, being able to talk about feelings without it grossing you out, right? Those are pretty dope things I've been learning. Like, and you know, like, feelings shouldn't be something that we shy away from. That's kind of a new one for me, because there was a point actually just like a couple months ago, probably even a month ago, where I was just like, feelings, I don't want to talk about that. And then I had to really reach inside, and I'm like, why? Why is it so taboo for me? Why is it such an issue to like talk about feelings? Feelings are natural, feelings happen, you know, like why is it easier for me to talk about like, I don't know, bodily functions or whatever than it is for me to talk about emotions? Like, and being able to really, you know, understand on a deeper level that like people have emotions. It's fine. People are gonna feel things. That's fine. Like, I shouldn't be tripping out and spazzing out every time somebody's like, oh, I feel this and that. Okay, let's talk about it. Let's dive into that. And this is also like we should be, you know, be able to talk about those things without it feeling like such an intimate task, you know? Like, a lot of the times, especially these days, I've noticed so many people are more willing to give up their body to a person than to give up their emotional vulnerability. And I find that pretty weird. Like, I struggle to give either way, right? And like, it's like, it's just so much easier on a material level to be like, oh yeah, here's my body, you can do whatever you want to it, but if you try to touch my feelings, I swear to God, I'm gonna lose it. You know? It's like, we don't allow ourselves vulnerability like we used to. People used to write sonnets to each other and shit. Used to make handmade gifts and weird little clippings of each other's hair around. That was probably weird, but whatever. You know, there was a time when it was more taboo to give up your body than your vulnerability, and it's like, I feel that shifted, and I feel that that's so weird. Like, it should, I mean, at least from my perspective, it should go hand in hand that, like, you want to give a fuck about the people you give your body to, right? Like, you want to know them in depth at least a little bit, like, even if it's not, like, on a relationship level, like, even if you're just like friends with benefits, well, guess what? That's still a friendship that needs nurturing, right? It's still a friendship where you should care about their feelings and care about what's going on in their world and want to, you know, be there for them because you are connected in that way, right? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm a hopeless romantic for that, but to me, it makes sense, you know, to like, you know, if that's your friend and you're that intimately connected, maybe you should still give a fuck about each other and each other's feelings. I don't know. Like, you know, if you guys are just, you know, having sex just to have sex, well, that's cool and all, but your kundalini is going to be out of whack, and then, like, you're not really caring about the energy that's going into your body. Right? Whether you're male or female, when you have sex with somebody, that energy goes straight to your kundalini, right? And you start carrying their energy, you start wearing their feelings, and whether you got to talk about their feelings and vulnerabilities at all, you're going to be wearing them, because that's what sex does, right? It puts their energy right upon you, and you're going to embody that. That's why, like, if you have sex with somebody who's a super angry person, guess what, chicken butt, you're gonna be feeling irritable as fuck. If, you know, and it's like, I feel like that's also the more psychic part of us, where when we do have sex and we do connect with people, like, we carry their energy on, you know, like, that's a real STI, you know, like, we're infected by their energy, we're infected by what they're feeling, what they're going through, all that. It's a different kind of connection. And when you understand it on a spiritual level, if you understand what's happening when you have sex, it makes you really conscientious about who you give your energy to, right? It makes you real conscientious about like why you give your energy up to, you know, because it's no longer about just sexual gratification. It's about like so much more than that. But anywho, that's pretty much what I have for you. Namaste. I love you guys, and I will talk to you later.